Hi everybody, welcome back to Marvel Universe Chats with Matt, episode 4.
Four already?
Yeah,
Cool.
We did one on Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're on episode 4. Captain Marvel recently came out. If you haven't watched that, please check that out, and yeah.
Beware, spoiler warnings.
Yes, definitely spoilers. So, do you want to do a run-through of Captain Marvel?
Ooh, like a plot breakdown? Well, this is a period piece. It is set in the 90s, so we get a look at young Nick Fury, young Coulson. We get the origin story of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, but she doesn't know that's her. She knows herself as Veers. She is a Kree warrior, a hero. And she apparently is not considered the best of Kree hero warriors because she has things like emotions, and that's bad. So, foreshadowing, that becomes her great strength. So, alright, let's cut through all of this. Go back to Earth. They're hunting for Skrulls, shape-shifting aliens. They find Skrulls. Turns out the Skrulls are actually more refugees than they are any kind of terrorist villain type things. Mm-hmm. So that's essentially the big twist. It turns out that the Kree are actually bad guy, which is interesting. As a comic book fan, or wait, are we done? That's pretty much the plot.
Yeah, pretty much.
So she takes off to help the Skrulls find some place to live, and she basically leaves the pager that you saw at the end of Avengers Infinity War for Fury to reach out to her if necessary.
So, and then we have your post-credit scenes, which we should talk about. Like, at the end of Captain Marvel, Fury talks about creating the Avengers Initiative. His first idea, he's on the computer.
Right. It's to harken back to the first Iron Man one, where of course he shows up and tells Tony Stark, "I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative," and everybody shat their pants. And so this is what's happening this time. Is you see the origin of that idea. He originally called it the Protector Initiative, something along those lines.
Yeah. And then
you see
he got the Avengers idea because on Carol Danvers' plane it said
that's her call sign. Yeah,
Avenger.
that was her call sign. Her pilot call sign was Avenger. So that was pretty cool. And the way that those the credit scenes, the post credit scenes are set up is that there's usually 2 now. You get one mid credit and you get one post credit. The mid credit moves forward the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So in this case, it pushes the idea of oh wait, the Avenger Initiative, that was not the mid-credit
that was not
scene.
the post-credit, but
So
that was toward the end of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
It was part of the wrap-up. So the mid-credit scene pushed forward the entire series, so you actually see, Captain America and Black Widow and Banner, I forget who else was there. Anyway, they're all standing around, trying to figure out what... No, Ant-Man wasn't there. He doesn't meet up with them until the movie itself proper. But, so what you see is all of them kind of standing around like, hey, wait a minute, the signal for this thing stopped. What's going on? Recharge it. Do it again, blah, blah, blah. And so basically like, oh man, did the signal stop broadcasting to Captain Marvel before she got it? And then as, Black Widow's like, make this thing work. I want to know what's going on. She turns around and bam, Captain Marvel is standing right there. She says, "Where's Fury?" And boom, that's the end of the mid-credit scene. So cool. You know that she is now with the Avengers, and it is go time for Endgame. And then you have the post-credit scene. Post-credit scene is set up so that it kind of pushes just the movie series that you just saw. So in this case, it was the Flurkin, the little ginger cat, Goose, who's one of the best characters. Anyway, so Goose, who you find out is a super powerful alien, who swallowed the Tesseract, he coughs it up like a hairball.
Yep.
So there you go. And that moves that little bit forward.
Yay, that was exciting. But don't you ever wonder what happened to Goose? Do you think he's still alive? Or Flurkin's like...
I don't know.
Skrull?
I don't know. Well, he's not Skrull, because all of the Skrulls were terrified of him. He was like, what? And I just love that everybody was like, it's just a cat. Why are you scared of the cat? And the Skrull's like, no, that's not a cat. Like, it was a great character. But they have not shown
Goose.
whether or not Goose survived the snap.
Oh, was that his original name in the comic books?
Yeah, there's a weird thing of like you can't really tell anymore what came first, the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of the character or the comic book version character, because they've gone out of their way to try and make the two as similar as possible. Obviously, the comic books come out more frequently. You can go crazier with them, so it's always going to be different. But they do try and make those overlap a bunch now. So.
Why don't we see Captain Marvel earlier? You know, as you have all these events building.
Oh, in the cinematic universe?
Yeah, why do you think Fury held onto the pager for so long? Because, I mean, he's had it in the 90s. He lost an eye to Goose.
That was such a strange throwaway joke version of his eye patch origin, but still good.
Why don't you think he used it earlier? I mean... Or was it not
honestly,
as serious?
it could have been a thing. I mean, you can always look at it cynically and honestly, practically by saying this stuff hadn't been written yet. They may have even had an idea, but really, at what point was this the way they were going to go? So you can just say that that he didn't do it because they hadn't written that part of the story in yet. Mm-hmm. The other part you could say is it would require an extinction level event, and that's what this was. Even like he might have at the original in the original Avengers movie where suddenly they were facing off against the entirety of the Chitauri coming through the wormhole, all of that stuff. But Fury was also the one that was like, no, don't send a nuke. If he's not willing to call in a nuke, he's not willing to call in Captain Marvel. I think all of that stuff is supposed to play. Again, yes, cynically you could say they just hadn't written it yet, but it's also to kind of show that Captain Marvel is the step beyond a nuke. She is the equal of an extinction level event, and that's what Thanos is. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, what were we going to say? Do you think that... I know that they talked about this on Looper. I will try and link the video where... they talk about where they think Nick Fury has been replaced by a Skrull because of the way he cuts his sandwich when he goes and visits Hawkeye.
Yeah, that could have actually been like all of these things are entirely 100% possible. I don't know. There is another really long-standing tradition in Marvel Comics, especially when it comes to Nick Fury, is a thing called a life model decoy. And we've seen these pop up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that other kind of stuff. Life model decoys are exact robotic replicas of anyone. And Fury uses them all the time. In the comic books, Fury is dead a lot. And no one ever buys the fact that he's actually dead because everyone's like, it's probably just another LMD. So... in this version, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's entirely possible that maybe he doesn't have an LMD, considering they haven't talked about one yet. Mm-hmm. But he may have gotten a Skrull on his payroll. Because if you remember when in Captain Marvel, when they first land on Earth and you still think all the Skrulls are bad, they start turning into surfers and people to blend in. There's enough of them where I was like, you only see what happens to like 2 or 3 of them. I think there's like 1 or 2 more out there. Yeah. So it's entirely possible. And even though one of them died and that was the one that ended up being Coulson, you never know. Yeah. Because Clark Gregg does return in the new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series.
Which leads us to talk about that part. We talked about the Kree already, and if you had been keeping up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we've had interactions with them throughout throughout the Marvel Universe, specifically in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You see them repeatedly in there, and
they are the genetic manipulators that created the Inhumans. And that is true to the comic book origin. And the other amazing thing that's very true to the comic book origin is that Well, they changed a little.
Remember where we were? Oh, we were talking about Kree.
Yes, the difference between the Skrull and the Kree as far as the MCU and the comic books. In the MCU, the Skrulls are actually misunderstood refugees, at least as far as we know. And then the Kree were these great noble heroes that turned out to be jerks, the bad guys. And it's kind of amazing because in the comics, the Skrull are evil. They actually are the bad guys about 90% of the time. But sometimes you do actually have the refugees or the, you know, the good ones that are just flipped around. However, in the comic books, the Kree are always... Can I swear? The Kree are always jerks. They're just always jerks. It doesn't matter if they're the good guys or the bad guys. They're jerks. And you don't particularly like them, with very few exceptions at least. That's why you had characters, again, in the MCU, like Ronan the Accuser. The character that Lee Pace actually comes back to play, even though he died in Guardians of the Galaxy 1. He comes back in Captain Marvel, and he's awesome. And Ronan is actually a very, very powerful character in the books. It was a shame that he died, but oh well.
Okay. Speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we finally got the Season 6 trailer.
Yes, and we got the poster, the Last Supper poster. Have you seen that one?
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Ooh. Yeah, it's set up so that the cast is all sitting around a table and they're kind of interacting, and so people are looking at it, since it's kind of Last Supper-y, they're trying to find the Judas. They're expecting there might be a Judas.
Yes. But, I mean, if you haven't seen the latest trailer, you will know that at the end of last season, Coulson was supposed to be sick. He was going to run off. May was going to run off with him to die. And then there was this thing... Oh, what was his name?
Who? Dietz?
Dietz might be dead because we didn't see him in that last part, and
because he was just like, look, if you guys are going to change the future, then I might die. I'm going to go love life here for while I can. Yeah, enjoy things like grass and trees.
And what's his face is in a coma.
Fitz?
Fitz is in a coma, but he died in one part, but you know.
He dies, but he's also technically still asleep so that he can wake up in the future, and I hate time travel. I really do.
It's a weird thing. But yes, when in the new trailer we see Sky and
we do know that Dietz is back in some way. Yes,
Dietz is back. They had announced that when they did Comic-Con San Diego forever ago, because he was in that cast shoot. But the surprise was Coulson.
Yeah, Coulson wasn't in any of the promo stuff leading up to this.
He
would do the interviews, but he wasn't in the pictures.
Yeah, they did say that he was doing the first episode, directing.
He was the director of it, so that's how they attached him to it. Yeah. And otherwise they were just like, well, he is doing Captain Marvel. But then it was the biggest debate because he was barely in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I wanted so much more Coulson.
Yes.
So much more Coulson, because he was old school Coulson.
Yes.
Not I've been through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and now I have a lot of dynamic character, 3D, and no, I kind of wanted just old school Coulson. And he was there.
So I'm super looking forward to new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6, just to see this Coulson twist.
Because yes, he is back, and he said that it is not the Coulson that you know and are familiar with seeing. So is he a Skrull? Or is he real Coulson and up until now it's been Skrull? Probably not, because otherwise they would have found that out on the operating table, but hey, whatever.
It'd be an interesting thought. Okay, now we gotta talk about the Stanley tribute.
That was beautiful.
That was so good.
That was really beautiful. The Marvel Studios intro that normally flips through like the comics and movie versions of the various characters that make up the primary universe.
And if you happen to know, just find this and you didn't know Stanley passed on,
that happened. And anyway, so very sad, but this was a really beautiful tribute because it showed him and the books that he made, like, and the roles that he has been in the movies and all of these other aspects of his life, and it came together. They basically replaced all of the actors and the characters of the Marvel Studios flip-through intro with Stan Lee, and it was beautiful. And his tribute in the film itself, Captain Marvel anyway, was she got onto a bus, and while she was looking for a scroll that was that had shapeshifted into somebody else, she stumbles across somebody practicing lines from a movie, and it happens to be Stan Lee running through his lines for Mallrats, which was all time correct and really beautiful, and I love Kevin Smith movies, so there you go.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other trailer that was attached to this movie was Spider-Man Far From Home,
which has Spider-Man and Nick Fury back, so kind of spoiler alert, things are going to be fine.
And then we have a new character, the Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be Mysterio.
So I'm very excited for that, which comes out
next, 3 months? I forget.
Sometime this summer.
But you can tell, I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody, but I'm going to give you a theory as to what's going on. If you don't know, Mysterio is a villain, but they play him up in this movie like he's a hero. He is a special effects master who's so good that he is on the fly capable of making you see anything that he wants you to see. He's supposed to be played up as some strange illusionist wizard that creates and alters reality, but it's just weird optical effects that he's very good at. And what makes him immune to his own abilities with gases, lights, and all of this other stuff is this ridiculous looking fishbowl helmet that he wears. But he is Hollywood guy, so the fact that it's Jake Gyllenhaal is pretty awesome, and he's helping Spider-Man defeat these two characters. One's made of fire and one's made of water, and everyone's like, oh, is that Human Torch and Hydro Man or whatever it is? And they're like, nope, this isn't them. And they're giving them other names like the Elementals or whatever. Yeah. Basically, I think you can kind of deduce that the whole movie is they find out the twist, quote unquote, at the end, is that Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio created these villains. So he's behind all of it, trying to look like the hero because that's what he wants, is the fame.
Yes. And I know we talked about what to expect. Did we talk about what to expect?
When you expected what?
In Endgame? Because the trailer came out, the full trailer.
Is this about the Ant-Man crawling up Thanos'? No, I can't.
No.
That's bad meme. Bad meme.
But the full trailer came out, and then the poster came out, and there was that whole debacle. So what can we expect from Avengers Endgame?
I can tell you what I really want to see. You're gonna see from what we've seen in the trailers. They have these strange black and white suits or gray and white suits that I personally think, I know this isn't going to happen because the Marvel deal with Fox only recently went through after the filming of everything. But I think they look like the Fantastic Four uniforms that were used in the comic books for a long time, when they were considered the Future Foundation, when their whole thing was breaking into new universes. Anyway, whatever. I think that's going to be a key of the quantum realm. I'm pretty sure Ant-Man's entire thing in this, it's kind of a joke that Ant-Man's going to be the one that really holds the power to defeating Thanos. I don't think that's a joke. I think that's actually going to come into play. Yes, you need the heavy hitting of Captain Marvel and all of this, but I think you're also going to get Ant-Man in the quantum realm. I think that's what it is. I'll tell you what I want, and I don't believe it's going to happen, but I'll tell you what I want to have happen. The Avengers came together in the first Avengers movie because Phil Coulson died. And they have teased it at the end of other Avengers movies, where it's when Captain America steps up at the end of Age of Ultron, he's like, Avengers! And then it just cuts off. Now the whole thing with the Avengers is whenever there's a big bad group fight and it's about to go down, Captain America says the phrase, Avengers Assemble. So I think we're definitely going to get Captain America saying Avengers Assemble. It's Chris Evans. That's going to make everyone go, yes, because you need that image. You need that sound. But if Phil Coulson dying was the reason that the Avengers actually got together, I don't think it's going to happen, but I think Phil Coulson needs to be in Endgame. I think this is when they find out that he is still alive. Now, I know that's not going to happen because he died in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but if they found out that he was still alive or his return in any way, make Coulson the one who gets to say Avengers Assemble. It might not be comic book true, but it's Marvel Cinematic Universe true, and that would be the best. So that's what I think you're going to get. As far as everyone coming back, I think either dealing with the quantum realm or something therein. There have been parts in the comic book before where anyone who's died because of the acts of the Infinity Gauntlet ends up inside the Soul Stone. You get locked in this, like, Elysian Fields, like, you know, paradise land type of a place. And I think that's what's going to happen. Maybe. I don't know. Or it's a time travel thing. Stupid time travel.
Yes, which just gets confusing. But, okay, the other thing to talk about, which just happened recently, is the rehiring of James Gunn. Are we excited about that? Because I know David...
We are pants-wettingly excited about this. This is good news.
Yes, because that means we could get a Guardians 3, right?
We're definitely getting a Guardians 3. We were going to get a Guardians 3 no matter what.
But
and they even said that James Gunn...
project.
No, they just were like, we're not happy about it.
Yeah.
And if you take away... And here's the part. Yes, it could have been a whole thing where Marvel was, or Disney or whatever, was just trying to flex on James Gunn to be like, hey, this is not appropriate and you need to learn your lesson. We need you to know that there's consequences. I think that's kind of BS too. I think the fact that he went over and immediately got a job for doing a DC film, maybe that has something to do with it, but I really don't think that's the case either. I think you're not looking deep enough into it. I think a big part of it is those things. I think those are contributing factors. I think it's the fact that every single one of the actors was like, hey man, this is his project. And they come back by saying, no, yeah, you're still going to use the script that James Gunn wrote. It's just not going to be him directing it. And everyone's like, yeah, still not the thing. So you made a lot of the actual talent angry. You made a lot of the fan base disheartened by it, and you can't afford to do that. The other part of it would probably be the simple fact that, oh man, I don't even know how to put this, is the fact that business-wise, they, and a little bit of this got out. So the fact that a small amount of this got out to the public makes me think that there's a lot more that we don't, because the workings of all of this stuff is way more complicated than anything somebody in their basement trolling a fan site coming up with this theory is ever going to get right. There's so much more beyond it. But the fact that this little bit started to get out, I think had a lot of significance, was that they kept talking to other directors, like, hey, do you want to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3? And they basically went into their own stable of people, like Taika Waititi, who did Thor Ragnarok, and everybody loves what he does. He seems like a really good fit to do something that's along the lines of a James Gunn type of a thing. I mean, that look at Ragnarok, it is kind of a... And so it's like, hey, do you want to do this? And he very publicly was like, no, that's James's piece. And a lot of directors came back with that, like, no, not going to do that, that's James's piece. It's not like I'm standing up for a principle or anything like that. It's like, no. It's just pure and simple. You got handed your friend's toys, and it's like, you play with that. Like, no, I don't feel right about this. So I think there's more to it than just a simple explanation that's been given otherwise.
I know. I thought it was, maybe it was a BuzzFeed. I just read the headline that David...
Which pizza you are?
No, David Bautista
yeah.
Wasn't really thrilled about James Gunn coming back or something?
No, he loves James Gunn. He was pissed that James Gunn got fired, thought it was stupid, and he was like, yeah, I don't really need to do this, but he's contractually obligated to. So it's like, yeah, whatever. And as soon as James Gunn got the Suicide Squad, which is now going to be a reboot, as soon as he got that job, Batista's like, hey, let me know if you need me to do anything. Like, he is more than happy to be like, all right, after I'm done with my contract, all ties cut. So I think they're, again, that's another contributing factor. But no, he was very excited that, he was pissed that James Gunn was fired, and he's glad that he's back. As far as I know. But I don't mean to speak for the guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I think that's about all for this episode. We've been talking for a really long time.
Let's invent more things to talk about. I'm having fun.
But anyways, we don't need to make you wait any longer, because we will see you guys very soon by the time this episode comes out.
Endgame.
And Endgame with so much more to talk about. So
Yes.
Oh wait, the Infinity Gauntlet's on the left hand. Endgame. Yeah.
Yes. So we will see you guys very soon. This partially might be our new set, the couch, for a little bit. But yes, sorry for...
Let's get out of here. Let's find someplace better. Let's do that.
For all the changes. Yes. We will see you guys.
Ooh, can I do something real quick?
What?
If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. It's like down there or down there, wherever it is.
Yes,
hit that subscribe button. Follow her on social media, Gray Sky Saturday.
Yes.
Or if you want to see more of my hideous mug and hear my stuff, I make reality on everything. So
Yes.
there you go. But subscribe
Yes.
for more good stuff.
And we will see you guys very soon.
Thank you.
Bye.